While Yoshikage Kira might not have the best matchup chart against the top tiers of his own franchise, I think he's capable of doing very well against other franchises that have certain limitations for their scaling. This is sort of continuing off of my Jotaro against One Piece video, but I feel that I should make the point on its own. Also, for the fact that this video is about Kira, it's also going to be on matchups, as I don't think I need a whole video to talk about them. Now, Yoshikage Kira's stand is Killer Queen. Its primary ability is the power to turn anything into a bomb. If you're unfamiliar, it's not the same thing as attempting to blow up the character with explosives. It fundamentally alters the property of the object or being to be of the same essence of a bomb. In Killer Queen's case, the object or being, again, is exactly who or what they are, but whatever they are, the property of bomb is also added to their title. From a logical standpoint, you can understand this ability through the concept of essential properties. Now, an essential property of a thing is a characteristic that it must have in order to be what it's supposed to be. A triangle is a triangle because it has 3 sides. If it had one more, it would not be a triangle anymore. You get the idea? Now, the essential property here is the explosiveness, or the fact that this thing will explode when Killer Queen presses down with its thumb. Because of this, Killer Queen ignores things like durability, where it lets a character take hits. Durability is, again, like this resistance to external forces that would affect the thing in question. But Killer Queen turning them into a bomb is essentially redefining the properties of whatever is in question. It's not an interaction between two forces like a punch meeting your body or a kick deflecting an energy blast. Being turned into a bomb is the new nature of that object or that entity's being. So here's an example, right? Vegeta gives Yoshikage Kira one free shot against him. "Hello, Kira. I'm Vegeta, and I'm the Prince of all Saiyans." And you get the idea, all right? So Kira nods. Killer Queen makes its way over to Vegeta. Vegeta can't see it. And he plants the bomb. Now Vegeta is the bomb, as he was before. And then he blows him up. Now, obviously, this won't work against a character that's like faster than Kira, that's trying to fight him, We've seen how that works in the show for characters faster and stronger than Kira, and Kira gets folded every time. But there are an extremely large amount of characters in fiction that a JoJo character will be faster than. With that in mind, Kira could do a lot of damage, and by, like a lot of damage, I mean completely atomized, like they don't exist anymore. The issues that come with him is the fact that, I guess more so, he's not travel speed fast, and he's only combat/reaction speed fast. So let's bring up a versus that we had before when someone of high caliber lost, and how Kira could work around that same scenario. Jotaro versus Kizaru. The fight that had started this premise, essentially. Now, Jotaro, while having the ability to stop time and generally be faster than Borsalino, he didn't have the attack potency required to effectively damage Bors as is. And admirals in One Piece get to the point of continent-level durability and strength. And for the most part, that doesn't really exist in a franchise like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. But Kira is a specific pocket of the series where he has a hacks ability that help him press forward into a battle like this without the chance of being on the losing end of a standstill, because he has the power to ignore Kizaru's durability and turn him into a bomb, effectively ending the scenario and winning the battle. But like Jotaro, again, Kira comes with a similar set of limitations that will affect his ability to go about all these types of fights. Firstly, there's his range. Now, while Jotaro and Kira have similar range in terms of combat, as they're both close combat stands, Jotaro has the ability to stop time. So even in a case where Kira could just blow someone up just off of making contact, he most likely can't dodge larger objects or blasts that Jotaro could. After the range issues come with the travel speed issues, because while Kira could defend himself at a close enough range, if his opponents were to just destroy the general area around him and strike fear into him, or something along those lines, like, oh, I'm gonna bury you, it just might work, you know? So for example, let's say Kira was going against a world-class fighter from some franchise, you know? Let's say it's a higher-end Uchiha from Naruto. While Jotaro could do things like stop time and move out of the way of a fireball jutsu, or, you know, destroy the ground underneath him to obstruct the blast of sorts, Kira most likely wouldn't consider options like that, as he's never been the one to use his stand's strength in the way that Jotaro has. Especially considering that Jotaro just has the stronger stand. Also, I haven't mentioned sheer heart attack and bites the dust due to practicality and function. Because see, sheer heart attack being the one that's exploding puts its strength into question due to the fact that it hasn't necessarily given me a reason to believe that it can also negate durability. Like sure, Kira's primary bomb works as is, and I don't have to question that because that effectively turns you into the bomb. But sheer heart attack in this instance is still the one that's blowing up. And as for bites the dust, well, I'm not expecting for Kira to have Hayato around for every battle possible, as that's just extremely odd. So yeah. In the same way though that Kira ignores durability, other characters in JoJo have their own things that define what area of characters are most likely not able to beat them. It plays out so normally to considering that there's just not a lot of people that like having versus battle that, you know, require that more extra effort, because it's usually with a franchise like JoJo, you get characters where it's like, okay, they stomp or the other character stomps. That's it, flat out. For example, Rohan Kishibe. I'd take Rohan Kishibe against a lot of close range fighters. Let's say more general to just like general fiction rather than just, you know, limiting it to JoJo, because some characters are really fast. But he can also ignore durability too through writing codes and double up by subduing the enemy by writing certain commands in there to work for him. Or let's get another person, you know, Vanilla Ice, right? And his stand, Cream. Large amounts of space that also ignore durability and keeps him safe from getting hurt. He's better set against a lot of characters that are capable of extreme capacities of durability that also are more likely to win a battle of attrition against someone like Jotaro. And while yes, you know, in a fight, Jotaro probably has a better battle IQ than Vanilla Ice, can handle his emotions better, he does a lot better than someone like Vanilla Ice. But what happens when you're supposed to fight against a larger character like some sort of giant mech or Susanoo? Even with Jotaro being better than Kira, and Star Platinum being stronger, and probably being able to beat Kira and Killer Queen almost like 99% of the time, even while tired, who would you rather have in a fight against someone with extremely high durability and or takes up a lot of physical space? I know that a fight like Hashirama Senju, for example, just seems unfathomably possible for a lot of characters, but who would you want to go for? The guy who can stop time and hit really hard, of course, it's like the stopping time is a very busted, it scales above explosions and all that. But there's that, or the one who can blow up whatever tree Hashirama would grow with just one touch. Just one touch explosion, boom. It's matchups, everyone. Matchups say a lot for these. Now, I will say there are more of these iffy matchups with characters that are on paper extremely strong, but due to their feats or lack of information, they're only capable of so much. It doesn't just stop at Vanilla Ice. It doesn't just stop at Killer Queen. Enrico Pucci, for example, in his Maiden Heaven stage of evolution, the stand discs they still exist. Now, while they do still exist, does that mean he's capable of removing stands or memories from his opponent? Because if he could, Then a certain matchup like Hashirama that we just mentioned changes extremely because he would be able to blitz and then remove his ability to function entirely. That would make Enrico Pucci a generally better choice than almost every other stand user, even with the fact that if Jotaro had the chance of one-shotting Enrico Pucci in stop time, he would have been able to. But that hinges on the idea that, that Pucci is also able to do the stand disc thing. It hasn't been proven that he's capable of doing so. It's just an idea that makes sense as it's a stand evolution. Gold Experience Requiem still had the ability to give life. Not many, or if any at all, stand evolutions, like, they don't really lose their primary ability. Chariot Requiem lost a lot of what we knew about it originally, but then again, that's an unfinished stand. That's kind of the point. Kira retained his original abilities. He just gained another one. That was sort of like, that was an evolution of sorts. So logically speaking, and additionally, thematically, consistently speaking too, he shouldn't lose his disc ability, but that itself is a debate. Now, you would think that he is capable of a lot with that in mind, and you're like, you know what, maybe he's also better set for a lot of other matchups too. But again, this is like a case-by-case basis. And I can't really make a matchup chart for these types of things, and a lot of these versus things kind of have to go on with the idea that you're approaching it as is. But certain things are going to be consistent. If a character is weaker than Jotaro in terms of strength, and they're also lower speed, he's most likely going to win the fight. If they're close in terms of attack and durability, but Jotaro still has the speed, he probably could also win the fight. Very possible. Kira, in general, is going to scale over the concept of physical durability because he negates that. And Vanilla Ice, sort of in the same ballpark because he removes that space. It's just how certain things work. And I also want to go as far as to mention Gold Experience Requiem too, because while Gold Experience Requiem isn't capable of the most physical strength possible, it has a better standstill than a lot of other franchises and a lot of other characters. But when you want to get rid of something entirely and just outright win the fight and use that in combination with your speed, let's say they have comparable speed, then picking Killer Queen over Gold Experience Requiem for a specific matchup that you want to use would work, and it would make sense. It just sounds wild, but again, it is a case-by-case basis. It doesn't mean that Killer Queen is going to be stronger than Gold Experience Requiem. It just means that this is a probably better set fight for this character, whereas GER would just cut to a standstill. There's also the potential of like how exactly GR wants to use with Life Giver ability, and like, oh, let's say it creates specific toxins and yada yada yada. There's a whole thing about GR versus Goku, but that's there and it exists. It's a standstill, yada yada yada. But someone like Kira negates durability, and while he's not faster than Goku at all, like, it's like, if given the chance to, could he destroy Goku in one shot? It's like, the signs are pointing to yes. And I think that's one thing I want to get across, because while I do want to do something like another ranking the strongest stands, a lot of that stuff works within the context of JoJo specifically, but I'm also kind of sure that, certain abilities will scale over in a general retrospect, and logic and time stop and yada yada yada, manipulation of that will most likely scale over in most fights rather than picking the guy who negates their ability. And that does make sense, but these types of things require more nuance that I don't think is used when talking about this type of stuff. But yeah, the general idea is, yes, Kira Yoshikage is a very strong character. My thing is, I do want to see more, I guess, comments about how would this and this go, because it's really interesting off of how their powers are. And also, I might consider doing more equalized videos, because certain things like JoJo characters versus JJK characters, you're like, okay, in terms of their actual skill sets, wow, they're really strong and comparable to each other, but JoJo characters are just so much faster to where the fight isn't the fight anymore. If that was an equalized area and they're just comparing abilities and skills, hand-to-hand combat, all that, heads up, that says more for the dialogue and more for the verses in general. I feel like that says more altogether about what these characters are capable of. But I do understand that people are like, oh, okay, I'm not trying to equalize anything. Let them fight as is. But at the same time, it's like, okay, well, this is a speed blitz and the fight's over. But yeah, please tell me what your thoughts on about like more equalized fights and just, I guess, stuff involving these certain characters, because we do have a large amount of characters that are strong. It's just that a lot of these battles get easily cleaned up due to speed alone, or just maybe polarizing amount of strength alone. Like someone fighting Goku, for example. Like, okay, that dude's gonna punch right through the planet, even though he can't breathe in space, and that would be counterintuitive for him. But it's just like, oh yeah, he just punch right through him and destroy everything. It's like, what would you want to see as a viewer? Tell me. I'd love to know. But thank you all for watching. This is a more, I guess, more discussional based video about power scaling entirely and Yoshikage Kira's skill set and yada yada. But yeah, tell me how you thought about it. Hopefully I'll see you all in the next one. Until then, peace out and Godspeed.